My name is Georgia Roxana Cepeda Barco, and I was born in Mexico. I was born in Monclova, Coahuila, and then before I turned one, we moved to Saltillo, Coahuila, and that's where I lived for 5 years. I don't really remember that, but then after that we moved to Monterrey, Nuevo León, which is a way bigger city than than the cities I lived there. And I lived there until I was 13 years old. And then my parents told me we were gonna move to the United States, which is a big change because I went from living in northern Mexico to living in northern Michigan.
My name is Frida Sofia Casas. My parents are from Mexico, and I was born in California.
At any time, did you live in Mexico?
No, I've never lived in Mexico.
How often do you visit Mexico?
I don't actually visit because my mom says the part that she's from is really dangerous. So I've only ever visited once, and that was like when I was 8, so like almost 10 years ago.
Do you have any family from Mexico that live in the U.S.?
Yeah, well, a lot of my family live here.
And were they here before your parents immigrated?
A few were, but most came after my parents also. And my grandparents don't speak really any English very well, and so I was just like, I feel like being around them it felt a lot more like learning the culture than my parents, because I feel like my parents have tried more to kind of like become Americanized.
I would say in Simi Valley, there's not as many Hispanics as there are in LA. Like, I feel like Simi Valley is more like a bubble. Like, yeah, there is like different cultures, but I feel like it's not as many as when I go to LA. And every single time I go to LA, there's always like, I always hear people speaking Spanish or like. I feel like for me, it's just like people don't have the same experiences, or they're not able to relate as something as your childhood, or you have some meals you would really like and your friends don't know about them, or they just don't have the same experiences, so they cannot relate to you in some aspects. But I will say, like, my friends are Hispanic, and when I like go over to their houses and I talk to their parents, it feels more like a family talking to people that have Hispanic households than when I go to my friends that are like different ethnicities. It's not the same because it feels more like you're going to your friend's house, not a family house. You know what I mean? So like, for example, one of my best friends, she's Mexican, and whenever I go to her parents' house, they speak to me in Spanish, and so I speak to them in Spanish back. And if it reminds me of being at home, because I do that with my parents. I speak Spanish at home.
Can you talk about any discrimination you faced in Southern California?
But like, okay, well, I kind of have, I guess, this kind of privilege compared to other Hispanics because I'm like really light skinned, so I don't really look Mexican, I guess. And so is my mom. She's also pretty light skinned, but like the thing that comes to mind is like one time we were at Walmart and she was trying to back up, and this other lady was trying to get into the parking space, but like she couldn't back up because the lady was too close, and the lady just gets out of her car and starts yelling at my mom. And my grandma was also in the car, and my grandma was confused, so like in Spanish she was trying to talk to my mom like, what's going on? And she like full on yelled like, oh my god, go back to Mexico, like speak English. My grandma was so confused, and that's like the first that kind of comes off the top of my head, really. But like, I really personally haven't really faced any immediate discrimination, I think.
Type of laws they've been making, it doesn't really affect my family as much as other people, because they ask for your papers, and since we're legal immigrants, they don't really like try to like, what's it called?
Detain you?
Yeah, like get at us. Since we have the right paperwork, it's so much easier to be safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So, how quickly did your father get a work visa?
For us, it was a really fast process because they helped him through the process, and he told us the news that we were moving around May of 2015, and we ended up moving around August of the same year. So it really didn't take that long to get the work visa. It just has to be I feel like the hardest part for people is getting approved, but if you go through a company, it's so much easier to get approved easily because they want you working there. They need you. The process for getting a work visa for my family might be different from everybody else, but for my dad, he got a job offer, and when you get a job offer, they help, your work helps you through the paperwork, and so you make an appointment and everything, and your work also provides like a lawyer for you to help you with all the paperwork needed for that, and they also give you a letter which you present to request for the visa, and then after you get the visa, you have to stay for that amount of time. And if your work decides to like want you for longer, you can request a green card. And then after that, I'm not sure about the years, but after you've been living here for like a really long time, you can request a citizenship.
Do you plan?
With Donald Trump as president, I don't like. I know my grandparents straight up don't really like him, but like the weird thing about I think like him being president is like some of my family came here legally, and some came here illegally, and like funny enough, the relatives I have who came here illegally are the ones who are kind of like a little more okay with him, I guess, because it's just kind of like they're already here, so they're not really that concerned with other people anymore. It's just kind of like they made it here, they're going to focus on their family only. They don't really care about who else might be affected, I guess, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Which is an interesting mentality. Most of them, I don't think so, but I think I definitely have a few because like one of my like immediate family all have their citizenship, but I know I have some like more distant relatives who they might be a little more affected by the immigration laws.
Oh, for me it's the same because I was also judged in Mexico for the things I wore. So I feel like being a teenager, it's hard everywhere. Yeah, I'm just living my life, man. I feel like I've been discriminated a lot, but not necessarily because of my race or my ethnicity. I feel like I've been more discriminated on the fashion I wear, the hair color I have, because I've had purple hair, or since I'm a really extroverted person, I talk a lot, so I feel like that definitely has given me more discrimination and people judging me more on the things I wear or the things or how I look. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say so. And when I first moved to Michigan, I feel like it happened more often because it was when I first was starting to get adjusted to like speaking a different language. Since when I lived in Mexico, like I knew English, but I wasn't really practicing it as much as I do now. And then I feel like over the years I got better at it. And so people weren't sure if it was like an accent or that was just how I talked when I moved to Texas, and then here in California.
So as a teenager growing up first gen, how do you balance like being Mexican and being American?
There's not really, I guess, anything to balance per se. It's just kind of like I do feel like very American, and there's some things that like I feel like culturally, we don't keep, as years go on, we don't keep up with quite as much anymore. So like I have a quinceanera, so I feel like me having a quinceanera like as a teenager, that was like the coming of age, the womanhood, very big in like Hispanic communities. I feel like that was something I needed to have. But like now, I don't really. Culturally, my grandparents are a lot more like traditionally Mexican than my parents are. Because like I said, I feel like my parents have tried to become a lot more like American to kind of like adjust. And so I feel like, say I ever have kids, I don't think I could ever really like expose them to the same culture I was raised in.
Yeah, I feel like ever since I saw my grandma when I was little making dresses for us and for me, and as a job, I knew I wanted to involve fashion as much as I could. I didn't realize I could make it a career out of it. And when I did, that's all I wanted to do. For fun, I basically hang out with my friends every weekend, and I try to go to LA as much as possible because since I'm moving this summer, I want to like have as many memories of it. And I also like roller skating.